Hi, and welcome to week 4 of EDC 420. This week, we're going to be looking at the individual factors that shape second language acquisition. So building upon some of what we've been talking about last week, but rather than looking kind of broadly at second language acquisition theories, looking specifically at the role that different individual factors play in shaping how a person is able to learn a new language. So we'll begin by reading a chapter from our course text, the Lightbound and Spada book, where you'll kind of look at many different factors that influence SLA, including aptitude, personality, attitude, motivation, identity, and different learning styles. They also briefly introduce age, and then you'll dive into that a little bit more with the second reading for this week. The second reading is from Brown's book. We're reading one chapter, the chapter focused on age and acquisition. And so that will be kind of a deeper dive into some of the questions that you began thinking about last week around the critical period hypothesis, including thinking about differences between L1 and L2 acquisition, thinking about lateralization, and different topics that are related to age and learning a new language. There's a brief video that summarizes some of those key ideas around language acquisition. And then the final content that we'll be exploring this week is looking at the impact of one's first language, or L1 in linguist speak, on somebody's second language acquisition, or their L2. So last week we talked a little bit about Jim Cummins' work, and specifically the linguistic interdependence hypothesis, or this idea that while languages may look different on the surface, underneath they have a lot in common. Or what he called common underlying proficiency. So this week, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that idea of language transfer. And there's a brief video that you'll watch that talks about that. And Brown's chapter also talks a little bit about transfer. And then you'll be thinking about what this means then for teachers as we think about supporting language learners in our own classrooms in different contexts. What does it mean to be cognizant of the fact that students bring their L1 with them to the task of learning a new language? So the discussion for this week will have you think about kind of those three different areas that we'll be learning about. So individual differences, age of acquisition, and language transfer, and bring in connections from the readings, from the viewings, and from your own experiences as you make sense of and reflect upon this week's content. For the language transfer section, I wanted to make sure I pointed out that I also included a great resource for you called Language Transfer Issues that provides transfer charts that show what transfers and what doesn't for 6 different languages compared to English. And it looks at phonics, and it also looks at language structure. So if you're a teacher who works with multilingual learners and you want to have a sense for where you might start in considering language transfer, it gives you some really good ideas of what things are similar across languages. So those are things that a student would probably learn more easily in English as they're learning English because they're the same in their home language, and what things are different and might benefit from some explicit teaching, or might be something to expect or anticipate that a student might struggle with as they're learning English as a new language. So it's a great resource. I hope you download it and find it, are able to use it and apply it in your own context if that is relevant for you. So that is this week. I hope you enjoy learning about some of these individual differences and factors that shape second language acquisition, and I look forward to engaging with you on the discussion board.